Hello, this is me, Haitham Muteb, from Iraq, ACI Iraq chapter. First of all, on behalf of my colleagues, academics, engineers, researchers, and concrete producers, I would like to express my gratitude thanks to the American Concrete Institute for hosting this international event, which is the 24-hour for concrete knowledge. My presentation entitled as The Cracks Controlling in Hot Weather Concrete in Iraq. I am a professor in structural engineering implemented in University of Babylon. Presentation outline. First, we talk and we'll present an introduction. What is hot weather concreting? The related code for this hot weather code is ACI 30005 code. Iraq weather or climate and factors affecting evaporation rate, the method of evaporation rates, and finally, we talk about basic guidelines for hot weather concreting. Concrete is widely used as an construction materials around the world. While which is used throughout the world, it is not without the challenges, especially in hot weather. The key of success is to understand how environmental factors affecting concrete properties, as well as the construction properties of mixing, transporting, and placing concrete materials. Now, a day in Iraq, we have a revolution in construction for residential complexes and for infrastructures, etc. Many parts of the world suffering from hot weather. Hot weather concrete is one of the challenges that affect the use of concrete. Iraq weather or climate. Iraq has a hot, dry climate characterized by long, hot, dry summers and short, cool winters. The climate is influenced by Iraqi location between the subtropical aridity of the Arabian Desert areas and the subtropical humidity of the Gulf at the south of Iraq. Despite Iraq's hot and dry weather, there is still evidence of substantial building practices. Some of them dates back thousands of years. For example, the Precision Street in Babylon still now a day has a stable material. Also, the basis of Sakurat Ur, which support a giant structure and a very heavy structure, it is still has a material which is stable till now. Also, the wall of Nineveh at the south of Iraq. At the Middle Ages, the Islamic period, many structures which are till now has its appearance and its durability. One of them, Al-Malwiya Minaret in Samarra. Plenty of large-scale domes at the south and middle of Iraq has been constructed till now. Also, the Al-Mustansiriya school, which is constructed from brick and beautiful arched. Now, many buildings has been constructed and need for concrete production during hot weather. Also, infrastructures like tunnels, bridges, etc. roads. Let's take a look. This is one of the summer days in Iraq. The maximum temperature now this day, is 44 degrees centigrade, and the minimum will be 31 degrees centigrade. That means we have 13 degrees centigrade, the variation during one day. Also, if we examine the variation of the minimum and maximum temperature, the annually variation during the year, we have very big difference between the maximum and minimum temperature between summer and winter. So the delta T during a year is about 50 degrees centigrade. Sometimes the temperature become more than 50 or 55 sometimes. It's a very severe condition. Also, let's take a look at the variation of relative humidity in a day of summer in Iraq. We can see there is not more than 10%, which is very low. That's meaning the weather is dry. Climate of Iraq. This graph shows the days which has clear clouds and precipitation, which is very low. Then the weather is dry. Also, the temperature, almost of the period of the year, the weather is hot and sweltering for more than 6 months. From the useful graph, we can depend it to locate the time and how to construct during hot weather. We must look at to this figure. It will represent the variation of temperature within the month, also at the day. We can see from May to October or beyond the September and October, the weather is sweltering all of the day. So we must consider that. If it is not allowed to cast concrete at these conditions, so there is no construction can be held in Iraq. The average annual humidity for Baghdad city from Google search presented that the maximum humidity not more than 75%, and the minimum humidity is about 20%. Speed, wind speed. The wind speed, not more than 35 kilometers per hour. The average wind speed in Iraq, it's about 9 kilometers to 10 kilometers, which can be considered not windy weather. What is hot weather concrete? The definition of ICI for hot weather concrete, in which they state one or a combination of the following conditions that tend to impair the quality of freshly mixed or hardened concrete by accelerating the rate of moisture loss and rate of cement hydration, or otherwise causing determination results. Yes. Then, from the definition, we must focus on 4 conditions: high ambient temperature, high concrete temperature, and low relative humidity and high wind speed. All of these factors are dominant in Iraq. The committee of 305, the ACI committee, presented a guide to hot weather concreting, in which they define the potential problem and the practice, effect of weather on concrete properties, and the placing and the curing, testing and inspection. Also, they present appendices for estimating concrete temperature, methods for cooling fresh concrete. Challenges in concrete construction in hot weather. We can divide these challenges in 4 stages. The first stage is the production. In the production, the increase of water demand for workability, increased difficulty in controlling entire air content, and so on. At the stage of transit, if we want to transit the concrete from the factory to the site, there will be a loss of water during transportation. So we need to cover the truck mixer by sheets and increase the rate of loss of workability. It is not allowed to add any water later. So we must calculate the required water to maintain the desired workability of concrete from factory to the project. The third stage is placing and finishing and curing. Loss of water by evaporation, increased rate of loss of workability, increased rate of setting, increased tendency to plastic shrinkage, cracking. Higher peak temperature during hydration lead to an increase in tendency to crack and lower long-term strength, which is the most critical and important issue. Long-term, the effect of evaporation for long-term. Long-term meaning lower strength, decrease in the durability of the structure, variable appearance. The factors affecting evaporation rate, we can conclude that there is 4 factors. Again, the higher the wind velocity, the lower the relative humidity. The higher the air temperature, the higher the concrete temperature. All of these will lead to the higher evaporation rate, the higher plastic shrinkage in concrete. Also, the early setting time, what that means, the early concrete hardening and low strength growing. Now, take a look to this figure. In this figure, we depict the growth of strength, the relation of strength with the time in days, 10 days, 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 days. In this figure, we put the behavior of ordinary concrete casted during ambient temperature of 20 degrees centigrade, and the other had been casted at 40 degrees centigrade. We looked, there is a rapid growth in strength at the first 10 days to the concrete casting in hot weather, while the ordinary weathering or natural weathering grow slowly, but it's continue to grow with time, exceeding the 50 days, while the concrete casted in hot weather stop after the 10th day. The evaporation rate is the rate, the definition of evaporation rate. What is the evaporation rate? Is the rate at which moisture is lost from concrete or mortar surface and affects several aspects of concrete or repair of mortar placement. Measurement method for evaporation rate. The evaporation rate is measured either using formula, nomograph, or online tools. The well-known formulas used to estimate the evaporation rates established by Paul J. Ewan's formula. He presented a formula relating the relation between the temperature of concrete, temperature of air, relative humidity, and wind speed in this equation. There are two versions of this equation, one in SI units and the other in US customary units. ACI depend mainly on Menzel formula, in which the mass of water can be estimated from this equation, which depend on table 1 and table 1 in table 2 in ACI code. Also, 2 units version, the equation presented in 2 units in SI units and US customary units. Let's take an example using this monograph to estimate the amount of rate of evaporation. This monograph presented by ACI 300-05 in SI unit and US customary unit. Now, I considered one of the summer day in Iraq at which the ambient temperature was 307 degrees centigrade, relative humidity was 24%, concrete temperature of concrete during casting measured outside was 30 degrees centigrade. The wind velocity was 25 kilometers per hour. Then from this monograph, we used following the step mentioned by code, we found that the evaporation rate was 1.75 kilogram per meter square per hour. When the evaporation rate more than 1 kilogram, that's mean the condition of casting concrete is in hot weather condition. Then, if the evaporation rate is too high, this is the result. Water leaves the surface too quickly, and it's causing issues during finishing operation. They lose the water, they lose the workability, and so on. Equally important, a high evaporation rate during placement and initial curing increase the likelihood of plastic shrinkage cracking on the concrete surface. Plastic shrinkage cracking leaves a concrete surface vulnerable to the future intrusion of water and chlorides, as well as an overall unpleasant appearance. This is the result. It's a bad result, not accepted by owners. And that's mean the structure durability is not ensured and repair to the concrete surface is required, which is cost and time. Let's present some guides for hot weather concreting, useful for engineers and researchers and concrete producer. The first step or guidelines to the plan in advance. Here, the material must be prepared. The aggregate must be cooled, the reinforcement and molds, etc. Keep the subgrade and forms moist. This is an example from some project in Iraq. Before starting to cast concrete, it's required to decrease the temperature of reinforcement and to make the mold is more moist and wet, avoiding to prevent the loss of water of concrete mix. The third, keep sunshades and when the breakers available, we can bring some shading to the workers and to the site, and standing many window breakers to reduce the wind speed outside. Have everything prepared before the ready mix truck arrives. Also, keep in contact or in a constant communication with the ready mix concrete provider. Here, we must calculate the time required for transporting, also the time required for our worker to finish the concrete at the mall, and we arrange these calculated time to avoid the delay of truck mixer at the site. Concrete should be placed, struck off, and derby immediately. This is an example of a project constructed during the previous summer, especially at July, where the temperature is at day was about 50 degrees centigrade. We select to start the work after the sunset, starting to cool the structure. We can see this structure is a composite concrete structure by using corrugated sheets. The temperature of steel is very high. So we're starting to use chilled water to reduce the temperature of the site. Use evaporation retardants, fogging, or mixing with water, or cover the vapor-proof sheet after secreting. The same project, we use the covering sheet when the concrete starts to hard, and we make the surface of concrete wet continuously. Temporary cover like continuously moistened burlap. This is another case study. We use, instead of sheets, we use burlaps. Curing should take place when the surface are hard enough to resist marring. Here we start to wetting the concrete and reducing the temperature of concrete, even the concrete is hard. It's another case study. We used anti-evaporation materials to prevent the evaporation from concrete. We see that the project has been completed at the early hours of morning, avoiding the high temperature. Finally, remember to protect crew in high temperature. Drink plenty of water, plenty of fluids, and careful with long exposure of sun. This is one of our workers. After a hard day of working, he felt very, very, very hot. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready to any question or comments. Thank you, dear, for providing this opportunity.